In 2016, London scientists gave people a weird choice. They hooked them to a machine. Press a button and receive a painful electric shock right now. Or, sit in a quiet room for 10 minutes and face a 50% chance of that exact same shock. Logically, the choice is obvious. You wait. A 50% chance of pain beats a 100% guarantee. You take the odds. That is what a rational human does. But humans are not rational. Almost every single person pressed the button. They took the shock immediately. They did not like the pain. They did it because the human brain has a severe biological flaw. Evolution wired us to fear uncertainty far more than physical damage. Sitting in a quiet room, staring at a clock, wondering exactly when you will get hurt, creates psychological torture the brain simply cannot process. The waiting becomes a disease. The brain demands a cure. It forces you to press the button. It guarantees your own suffering just to end the agony of not knowing. Uncertainty was the enemy. The pain was the cure. If you have traded financial markets for more than a week, you know how that quiet room feels. You have paid rent there. You find a setup. You draw colorful lines on a chart that make you feel like a mathematical genius. You buy. You sit back, fully expecting the numbers to turn green and validate your immense intellect. But they do not turn green. They turn red. First, it is a tiny, acceptable amount of red. It is a paper cut. You call it normal market noise, just testing support before rocketing upward. You lean closer to the monitor. Then, the price drops further. It crosses that invisible threshold where a mild annoyance becomes a legitimate problem. Maybe it is 10% of your account, maybe 20. The exact number is irrelevant. What matters is the physical shift in your body. The money stops being abstract digital numbers and becomes a very heavy physical weight pressing directly onto your chest. Your breathing gets shallow. You have the heart rate of a hummingbird on espresso. You enter the quiet room. You are waiting for the shock. You are trapped in paralyzing uncertainty. You do not know if the market will save you or destroy you. You are caught in the terrible space between a miracle and a massacre. This is where the darkest psychology in trading takes over. Books and courses claim a trader holding a catastrophic loss is just greedy, undisciplined, or desperately clinging to hope. They say you are praying for a reversal. That is a very confident mistake. You are not hoping. You are experiencing a biological freeze response. Your brain was built to survive a jungle, not manage leveraged derivatives. When that red number gets big enough, your amygdala looks at the screen and interprets it as an apex predator. It does not see a bad trade. It sees a tiger. Humans facing a predator have three options: fight, flight, or freeze. You cannot fight a trillion-dollar monolith that does not care if you live or die. You could run away, which means clicking close and accepting the loss. But that means admitting you were wrong. It kills your ego. It locks in the pain. So, your brain chooses the third option. You become a financial possum. A possum does not outsmart the wolf. It just falls over, slows its heart rate, and plays dead, hoping the problem gets bored and walks away. That is what you do. You freeze. You stare at the screen, eyes glazed over, watching your net worth bleed out tick by tick. Your logical brain has been thrown in the trunk. The lizard brain is driving. It only knows how to play dead. When I worked as a prop firm data analyst, I had unrestricted access to the back-end servers. I analyzed the raw data of thousands of consistently funded traders to find the exact mathematical difference between the 1% who get huge payouts and the 99% who blow their accounts. I took all that classified data and put it into my new book. It gives you three massive advantages. First, the unrestricted server data. I lay out the exact number of pairs the top 4,000 traders trade, their trading frequency, their win rate, their risk to reward, their daily loss limits, their trade duration, their profit factor, and more. Second, mechanical control strategies. This book gives you practical, step-by-step rules to physically force patience, control fear, and stop overtrading dead in its tracks. Third, the step-by-step survival guide. You get the exact mindset shifts the top 1% use to survive drawdowns, written in clear, easy-to-read lessons you can apply to your next trade. It is time to mechanize your mind and take what is yours. Grab your copy of the book through the link in the description right now. This explains the paralysis. It explains why you cannot bring your hand to the mouse, but it does not explain the true horror of what happens next. You do not just sit there and let the account die. Eventually, the waiting becomes too much. The uncertainty becomes heavier than the fear of going broke. You have been in the quiet room for days, checking your phone under the dinner table, waking up at 3 in the morning to bathe your tired face in the red light of a plunging 1-minute candle, snapping at your friends. The stress is rotting you physically. Your subconscious finally breaks. It decides the uncertainty of the trade is a worse threat to your survival than losing the money. Your brain needs the waiting to stop. It needs the shock. So, it begins to actively, quietly sabotage your account. It hides the sabotage behind the mask of strategy. It tells incredibly logical lies to justify self-destruction. The first lie is about space. The price is approaching your stop loss. The rational move is to take the small hit and walk away. But your brain whispers. It says the market is just hunting liquidity. The trade is perfectly good. It just needs room to breathe. You drag the red line lower. You call it managing the position, completely ignoring that the trade died 3 hours ago and is now decomposing in your living room. You are not giving it room. You are digging a grave. Then comes the second lie, the average down. The price keeps falling. Your brain shows you a magic trick. Buy more right now, and your break-even point drops drastically. You only need a tiny bounce to escape. It sounds like genius. It is actually poison. Averaging down on a massive loss is like fighting a kitchen fire with a bucket of gasoline, simply because the gasoline was on sale. You magnify a bad decision with leverage. You tie yourself to the sinking ship. But you do it anyway. You click buy. You double your size. You are not saving the trade. You are accelerating the end. Doubling down ensures the account either instantly recovers or instantly blows up. You force the market to make a final decision because you are too cowardly to make it yourself. You are begging the tiger to bite. If you look closely, you will find the exact moment the account truly dies. It happens long before the balance hits zero. It happens the moment you do the outside math. You are staring at a crushing $2,000 loss. Suddenly, a thought floats into your head. If I lose this money today, it is not the end of the world. I get paid on Friday. My check is $2,500. I can just deposit another $2,000 and start over. The second that thought hits, the current money is already gone. You have emotionally detached. You accepted the execution. You are not protecting the account. You are pricing out the next coffin. Sigmund Freud called this thanatos, the death drive. Freud believed humans have a deep, unconscious pull towards self-destruction, because zero means absolute peace. Managing a leveraged, bleeding portfolio takes a massive toll on the human nervous system. Part of you gets tired of fighting. Part of you wants to lay down your weapons and let the enemy run you through, purely so you can finally rest. Your brain pilots your hands. You close the terminal. You go make a sandwich. You leave a wildly over-leveraged position completely exposed, and you walk away. You call it being stoic. You are not stoic. You are surrendering. You are pressing the button for the electric shock, but closing your eyes so you do not have to watch your finger push it. You want the market to crash. You want the margin call. You want it to burn to the ground because you crave the silence after the fire. Then, it happens. The price drops violently. Support breaks. The candle turns into a bleeding waterfall. The margin level drops. The screen freezes. The trade disappears. Your balance says zero. A phone notification pops up. Liquidated. The tiger bit your head off. The shock has been delivered. The worst possible scenario is reality. Society dictates what happens next. You should scream, throw your coffee cup against the wall, break your keyboard and weep over your lost money. But you do none of those things. You sit in the glow of the monitor, and you let out a long, deep breath. Your shoulders finally drop. The stomach knot dissolves. The tunnel vision fades. You do not feel panic. You do not feel despair. You feel an embarrassing, twisted sense of peace. This is the great taboo of trading, the secret nobody admits in public. Blowing your account feels incredibly good. It feels like dropping a heavy backpack after a 10-mile hike in the rain. You realize, with strange comfort, you can actually sleep tonight without checking your phone. The money is gone. But the agony of waiting is gone too. You feel this relief because you profoundly misunderstand your own brain chemistry. We are taught dopamine is the reward for winning. We think it releases when the trade goes perfectly and we buy a nice watch. But dopamine is actually a chemical reward for resolving a complex problem. For 3 days, your losing trade was the most terrifying problem in your life. Your brain dedicated massive energy trying to survive the quiet room. When your balance hits zero, the problem ceases to exist. You cannot manage a dead trade. You cannot fear a margin call with no margin left. The puzzle has been forcibly removed. The threat environment has ended. The uncertainty is permanently resolved. So, your brain rewards you. It floods your system with a calming hit of dopamine. You are getting chemically high off your own financial destruction. This is not a metaphor. Your biology rewards you for failing, because failing was the fastest way to end the stress of trying to succeed. You did not blow your account because you read the chart wrong. You blew it because your subconscious decided going broke was a cheap price to pay to stop feeling hunted. You paid thousands of dollars just to buy a good night of sleep. If the story ended there, it would just be a tragedy, a biological glitch costing people their savings. But it does not end there. The human brain is highly adaptable. It loves learning from mistakes, but it rarely learns the right lesson. You wake up the next morning. The relief is still there. You drink your coffee. You feel strangely optimistic. This is where the most dangerous phase begins. Your logical brain climbs out of the trunk, looks at the smoking wreckage of your account, and tries to make sense of the disaster. It cannot accept that it purposely drove off a cliff just to see what the airbags felt like. So, it invents a new lie. It claims the blowout was a good thing. The account was messy anyway. You were holding too many random coins. Your sizing was wrong. The blowout was not a failure. It was a necessary cleanse. You tell yourself you finally learned your lesson. Next time, strict risk management. Next time, you will be a professional. You feel a surge of motivation. You are a student of the market. You wait for Friday. You deposit another $2,000. You open the chart. You draw a new line. You buy. You step right back into the quiet room. You think you learned how to trade. What you actually did was train your nervous system to use financial liquidation as a reliable stress relief valve. You taught your brain that whenever market pressure gets too high, all it has to do is hit the self-destruct button, and it gets rewarded with dopamine and peaceful sleep. You accidentally built a habit loop where the reward for losing everything is feeling incredibly good. Until you recognize this, you will never escape. You will spend years repeating the cycle. Deposit money, trade carefully, build confidence, upsize, cross the pain threshold, freeze, average down, do the outside math. Walk away, blow the account, sigh with relief, promise to do better, deposit again. You will do this over and over, acting like a rational participant in a system designed to exploit your primitive biology. A casino just wants your money. The market uses your own biology to hand-deliver it. You are not fighting algorithms. You are fighting evolution that desperately wants to keep you safe from lions, and is willing to bankrupt you to do it. Next time you find yourself staring at a massive red number, bargaining with the screen, calculating your next paycheck, stop. Take your hands off the mouse. Recognize the waiting. That heavy feeling in your chest is not strategy. It is fear. It is the primitive desire for the pain to end. You have a choice. Let the lizard brain take the wheel, average down, and drive straight into a wall for that sweet, expensive sigh of relief. Traders do not lose funded accounts because of bad indicators. They lose them because their biology hijacks their hands and ignores the daily loss limit. You do not need a better strategy. You need a digital straitjacket. That is exactly what the Alpha Equity Manager is. If you set your daily limit to 2% and your floating loss hits exactly 2%, the software takes over. It violently market closes every open position. Then, it completely disables your buy and sell buttons for the rest of the day. You are physically locked out. If you think your lizard brain can just open the settings, change the limit to 3%, and keep gambling, it cannot. The time-locked vault actively rejects your emotional inputs and snaps the rules back into place. You cannot bargain with it. You cannot cheat. It even calculates your exact dollar risk before you enter, so you never accidentally bet the house. The link to download the Alpha Equity Manager is in the description. Stop trusting your own biology. Trade like a machine instead. Or, do the most unnatural thing a human being can do. Click the close button yourself. It will bruise your ego. It will ruin your afternoon. But it is a lot cheaper than paying the market to put you to sleep.